everybody, welcome back to the Jentory YouTube channel with me, Jen. Hope you're doing okay. Today I'm going to show you a really super cool winter themed water play activity. Now I'm a massive advocate of water play anyway, and I realise it's probably been quite a while since I've done it on Jentory now. So stay tuned, I'll talk you through all the bits that you need, and most importantly, what to expect from each different developmental age, because water play is fantastic for so many different learners. So stay tuned and we'll get cracking. Okay, so we'll start with the basics. I've just got an oven-proof dish here and I've just filled it with really cold water for our winter theme. It is about knowing your learner, so if your learner is really anti-cold, you don't necessarily have to use cold water. You could use lukewarm or even warm water. That being said, it is important to kind of spread out the sensory modalities a bit and introduce them to different temperatures, because obviously that's a really nice thing to kind of have from a sensory play perspective and build up all of those neural pathways. So do it slowly, but maybe kind of aim to have cold water by the end of your session. That might be quite a good way of doing it. And then it's just about adding some super cool bits and pieces to make essentially a wintry, watery wonderland, really. Now, the way that we add these in is going to be different for different learners. So I'll talk to you about what they are first, and then we'll talk about all these additions and how we can do it differently for different kinds of learners. So I've got 4 additions here that we can add in to change the water. So I've got some blue food colouring here. The great thing about food colouring and changing the colour of water is that you automatically create contrast. So from a visual perspective, anything that you then add to it might stand out a little bit more than just plain water in the tray. So that's why that's there. Our olfaction smell, our olfactory sense, which is our sense of smell, which is always a really important one for me when I'm doing water play. I've got some American peppermint here. That's just American peppermint extract that you get in the baking aisle. This is really, really cool in water as well because it's oil based, so it doesn't kind of mix, so you get a really lovely effect, which I'll show you in a little while. But yeah, the primary thing that we're using that for is to get our sense of smell going. And if you've got learners with visual impairments, the sense of smell is going to provide another lovely sensory stimulus for them. Because actually, if you can't see water and you can't see all the cool effects that we're going to make with this, the sense of smell is going to be a primary sense for you. So it's always worth having scented water, I think, when you're doing water play with PMLD or sensory impaired learners. And then to add another effect to it, really cool visual effect, quite a snowy one. This is icing sugar, real Jentory favourite. I've used it in loads of my videos now, so don't say that you're not getting your money's worth if you're buying a pack of icing sugar, because you will use it for loads of Jentory things. So that's another one, really cool snow substitute. You can create clouds and lovely kind of sprinkling effects with it, so that's why that's there. And then the last addition is cotton wool. These are cotton wool balls. Little handy tip that I mentioned in my last video. If you're struggling to find cotton wool balls in the supermarket and you can only find the pads, go into the baby section because that's where the balls are. I could only find pads when I went down like the makeup aisle and stuff. But yeah, if you need the balls, they're usually in the baby section, so a little handy tip. And then lastly, I've got this really cool edible glitter. You can get this in the baking aisle in supermarkets. I think it's just meant to just spray on top of cupcakes to give them a lovely shimmer. And it does the same in water. So yeah, I'd really highly recommend using that. And it's way more environmentally friendly than glitter. We don't really want to be washing loads of glitter down the sink afterwards and having it go into the ocean. Personally, I don't really like that. So yeah, a little bit of edible glitter is just going to give you that real awe and wonder shimmer that you want for a really cool sensory wonderland. So there are 5 main things that we can choose to add into our water play. Now I'm going to talk about different learners here for a minute. So if you've got a PMLD learner or a baby, or generally anybody working under the age of about 2, whether that's physically speaking or developmentally speaking, you are going to add these in one by one because you want them to focus in on the effects of what you're adding. If you've got a learner with a visual impairment, you're going to spend a lot of time on the cotton wool and on the peppermint extract because that's going to engage certain senses. So you're going to obviously engage touch with that and smell with the others. The other 2 potentially from a visual perspective won't give much feedback, so it's up to you whether you want to use them at all, really. But yeah, if you've just got a PMLD learner or a baby or toddler or anybody that's working below that developmental age of 2 years old, go slow, go really, really slowly with this. So yeah, I would probably start with let's go for that. Yeah, let's go for the colour. Add that in, get them to swirl it round, get them to like just feel the water, feel the temperature. Sometimes it's really easy as parents and practitioners to go all in and just try and put everything together and make it look like really visually amazing straight from the outset. What we've got to remember is that actually this is all new for a learner, whether your learner has a kind of visual impairment, a multisensory impairment, or the world is just a new place for them. So water, just water, is actually quite an exciting thing on its own. So actually anything that we then add to that is kind of an extra thing. So we can change the colour, let them have a look at that, let them feel that, and then you can just slowly and steadily go through and introduce all of the other things. So I would probably keep with a visual theme to start off with, so sprinkle in some of the icing sugar next, and then go for the tactile, and then finish with the smell, because the smell is quite an evocative sense, so I'd probably finish with that. And just go really, really slowly with it, really let them process what each sensation is, and communicate to you whether they like it, whether they don't like it, whether they want to like move their fingers in it. And whoever you're working with, it's worth remembering there is a reason why water play is part of the early years curriculum, why water should be readily available for children and learners to have access to. It inspires natural curiosity in us. You know, it is one of those lovely natural resources that we find within the world all the time. You know, we're made up of it. It is a really naturally awe and wonder stimulus. And the great thing about water play like this is that it is open-ended. So actually, yes, we can get toys that do a certain thing. Yes, we can provide computer games for kids that mean that they can drive a little car around, but actually that is providing one-channeled. And yes, there is a place for that, 100% there is a place for that. But the great thing about water play is that it teaches a huge amount of skills, a massive range of skills, and engages things in a curiosity sense because it is open-ended. There is no right or wrong way of doing water play. So you've got that multi-channeled approach rather than a single track, and that's the real beauty of it. And then it's just about adding things into the tray. Now, because we've got 5 things here, this is automatically a communication session really, because it's a choice-making session. And the great thing about choice-making is that that's going to promote autonomy. And I talk about autonomy all the time in my videos, but it is so, so, so important, because if a child or learner has chosen what they want to put into this tray, regardless of whether you would have chosen that or not, if they've chosen it, they've got ownership over this, and it means that they can call this theirs. And that is so, so, so important for building self-esteem skills. It really, really is, particularly now when the world is quite chaotic anyway. It's really important to give children and learners those opportunities to choose things for themselves, to gain control back again. And it's good for you as well to watch them build something as well. It's always really nice to see what children and learners come up with. So without any hidden agenda, without any kind of finished result or expectation, let them choose what they want to put in their tray. So I'm going to have some fun now and whack some of these in here so you can see some of the beautiful effects that you get from using all of these different things. And then I'll talk to you about all the things that are to the right of me that you can add in if you've got learners that are a little bit further along developmentally. once you've got your lovely wintry magical mixture, you can then put some additions in. Now, how lovely does it look on its own? If you've got any Frozen fans watching at home, I'm sure they're going to love this. But if you have learners that are working sort of 2 and up, developmentally or physically speaking, you can then put in things to extend the play further. Now, it might be that this is enough, that actually communicationally you get that lovely communication exchange between you and your learner about all the things that they can see, because all the things that are appearing in this tray are going to inspire vocabulary, and if they don't have the vocabulary to describe it, then that's where you come in as a facilitator, and you can sort of say, oh, what can you see now? I see bubbles, I see froth, I see snow. Oh, it's dissolved, if you really want to go that scientific about it. But on its own, the stimulus provides lots of lovely opportunity for communication. Now, our good friend Piaget, who I've mentioned before in some of my videos and who I am a massive fan of, he's done loads of stuff on child development, really integral stuff to the way that we think about children now, and I'm a real fan of his work. But he said that learners have a real innate sense of wanting to understand how the world works, and that's essentially what water play does. It gives us an opportunity to understand how things behave, and that is a really important skill. So this alone, what we've got here going on and watching how it behaves and works, is great on its own. We can extend this, however, in a more mathematical and scientific capacity, because as I mentioned, these are the building blocks for those kind of traditional subjects. We can add in lots of different bits and pieces. We can add in spoons fundamentally to start off with. So different size spoons is a great thing to add into anything that's open-ended, anything sort of that's natural resource based. So sand, water play, soil, any of that kind of stuff. And by having 3 different sizes, you are automatically introducing mathematical concepts to your learner. With this kind of thing, they can see how much they can get on a spoon. Now, as well as that, you're getting lovely fine motor skill development, lovely proprioceptive development, because it gets heavier by default when you scoop things up, and trying to balance so the water doesn't tip off the spoon is a really nice way of getting your learners to really control those hands and control and balance themselves. So yeah, different size spoons is a great one. You can also do counting with spoons, like how many scoops can you get into, you know, said bowl, said cup. And yeah, they're always a really good addition. So handy to have around the house, and easy to source. So yeah, spoons are a great one. Now, I always slightly chuckle at myself when I do this one. This is a shot glass. I use shot glasses for everything just because they're little and they're easy for little hands to hold. And you get a little bit of humour watching your kid with a shot glass, which is always quite amusing. But yeah, you can just whack that in and do some scooping and some pouring skills at a level that is developmentally appropriate and easy to do. So it's a really nice opportunity to practice those pouring skills as well and understand essentially early quantity, because that's what they're doing. And then you can introduce all of those lovely words such as full and empty and half full and half empty, and oh, can you fill it up to this much? How many things do you think we're going to need to fill it up to the top? All of that kind of stuff. So all of those guessing skills, all of those kind of early number, early quantity skills can be done with a simple shot glass. So that's another really good addition to your water tray. And then lastly, I've got little takeaway trays. You can get these from your supermarket really cheaply. And the great thing about these is they are multi-purpose for a variety of different learners. So if you've got sensory learners and you're just using sort of this side and all of the kind of stimuli on its own, what this will do is create another kind of auditory aspect to your play, because it makes a fantastic noise when you're sort of pouring water on it and stuff. And they're so cheap, they're so versatile, you can wash them out and use them again. They are fantastic. If you've got a learner that needs to do early maths and those kind of concepts, it's another container for them to fill up, which is great. And it does make a really satisfying noise, and actually they're still learning in a sensory way and still need that sensory aspect to it as well. So they're really great. They also come with little lids that are a little bit glossy as well, so won't go completely soggy immediately. They will eventually, but they won't go completely soggy straight away. So you can essentially scoop stuff up and then put the lid on it, and you know, see if it pours out with the lid on, all of those kind of investigative skills, because I think as adults we take those kind of things for granted and we kind of go, well, obviously when we put the lid on it's not going to come out as well as when it's got the lid off, but actually our learners don't necessarily know that, And it's always worth remembering those kind of things when you're watching a kid and you're supporting a learner to learn all of these new skills, because we have so much more knowledge than they do, and we have so much more that we're bringing to the pot and bringing to the table when we're doing these kind of activities, whereas they don't. And it's always worth stepping back and watching those lovely moments of curiosity and discovery, because your learner will have those regardless of what developmental age they are. And those little wow moments and those little moments of discovery is what learning is all about. And they're the best moments actually when you're watching. So that's me done. That is my lovely, lovely winter water tray. It smells beautiful. It is the most magical tray to make with your child or your learner. And as I say, if you've got any Frozen fans, I'm sure their imaginations will just go wild when they do this, because it is essentially like making Elsa's little magical potion. So I will leave that with you. If you use it, please do let me know, because it really makes my day when I get those messages to say that it's been successful. So yeah, have fun with it. As always, if you liked the video today, please do give it a like down below, subscribe to the channel, share it around with anybody that you think would enjoy this activity, and I will see you next time for another instalment in the winter theme. But until then, everybody, take care. Bye.